Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our meeting. We're still waiting for some committee members to join. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule this meeting from last week because of Veterans Day. So I'm not sure how many folks can join. Hopefully, we'll get some additional committee members on soon. But thank you for your patience.
Hey, Francois.
Hey, Karen.
Good evening.
Good
How
evening.
are you doing?
I am good. How about yourself?
I
Um,
can't see you. I know I normally do.
I have my camera on. I can't see you.
Oh, there you go.
Um,
Yeah, well,
oh, I see your
you
background
never could
now.
see me.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like not too many other committee members were able to join tonight. I know we had to reschedule the time because of Veterans Day, so that could have something to do with it. Um,
You have the captain and you have Captain Murphy in.
and
Who is David Taylor?
that's
And Zondi
Howard
Risa.
Howard University's chief of public safety, who is joining us as a guest speaker. So,
Oh yeah,
I,
that's right. I know.
yeah, so I
Oh
do.
yeah, that's right. We have him coming in
Mhm.
for the CAC meeting. Look, you hear me
Oh,
asking who is such and such.
well. It's unfortunate that we don't have more committee members on. Um,
Well, this would be a good call. You between the two of
yeah,
us, you look
yeah.
one.
I
Look,
I do want to hear from Chief Taylor to learn more about Howard University
exactly.
Public Safety. So, we might as well start there, and then hopefully we'll get some other folks to join. But luckily,
Oh,
there's no items that we need to vote on tonight.
yeah, and we're at 7:08, so don't have them hanging too long.
Yes, yes, good points. Chief Taylor, I am going to uh, promote you to panelist right now. So hopefully you can rejoin as a panelist, and that way we can see you and hear you.
And then you have Captain Murphy. Do you want to bring him up too?
Yes, I figured I would let Chief Taylor go first, but I will allow Captain Murphy to
Yeah,
speak
bring
here.
yeah,
So
bring both of them in at the same time.
yeah. All right. Well, Chief Taylor, you should be able to unmute now.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
joining the meeting and
Oh,
doing back-to-back meetings because I know the community engagement meeting was just before this.
okay. Was it? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed
Oh,
that one then. Hmm.
all good, all good.
All right. Well, no, good evening. Thank you guys for having me. And again, I'm David Taylor. I'm the not so new chief of police here at Howard University. Been here now for approximately 2 months, working on my third month. Having said that, again, I'm the executive director of the Department of Public Safety, whereas our DPS department, whereas we work in uh, we work in partnership with the university community to enhance public safety, quality of life for our students, staff, faculty, and the community at large. Having said that, what does that mean? That means that we're doing our darndest to build a model campus, one that's based on innovativeness, togetherness, and engagement. And starting today, that's why I'm here with you all today. So looking forward to speaking with you all, even though we don't have as many folks as we normally.
Well, thank you. Thank you for introducing yourself. I'm curious if you could speak to, yeah, what does your role really look like? How does it differ from MPD? How is it similar to MPD? I've got some more specific questions about public safety, but yeah, I just figured it would be great to get a bit of an overview of your role and how large is the public safety team at Howard? How many folks are involved? Things like that.
Well, we have a total team of approximately 75 individuals, as well as a few civilians. How does my role differ from with DPS versus MPD? Well,
Hmm.
they have a larger terrain, of course. They have a larger terrain, but as you very well know, Howard is a city inside the city, and there are numerous variables that we have to continue to, I guess, to manage between the students, between the faculty, staff. Uh,
Hmm.
and more than the community that surrounds it. As you know, we have an open campus, so
Hmm.
that that variable in and of itself is often characterized as being the beauty and the beast. Uh,
Mm.
and again, that's one that it's one that we appreciate, but at the same time, it requires constant management, to round the clock management. And as you know, we're a 24-hour police department. And that being said, the team has been doing an awesome job since I arrived and well before.
Mm.
Sure, you probably know my predecessor, Marcus Lyles. He was the previous chief. He's moving on to become the associate vice president of
Oh, wow.
public safety. So I have some big shoes to fill.
Well, we really appreciate you doing this outreach.
I
I'm
would like
curious.
to introduce myself as well.
Yes, please.
And Chief Taylor, tomorrow you'll be well, not actually on Thursday, you'll have the blessing of being our guest, of course, at the 3D CAC Public Safety Leaders Meeting as well.
Yes,
And we work beautifully with ANC 1B and also with Howard University. And I'm welcome, welcome, welcome. I know this is the first time I've met you personally, even though we were introduced. I'm looking forward to knowing more about how Howard University is going to really make sure that they have such a really robust showing with within the I guess I would say the third district, but within the ANC 1B, since we're speaking specifically, you're in ANC 1E area and 1B area, but you are affected about everything that goes up and down Georgia Avenue, which is the 1B jurisdiction, and your students have to be extremely safe, and we want your students to be very safe. But what type of information do you give to your students to make sure that they pay attention to safety protocols, that they stay in a safe environment? As you mentioned, you're a city inside of a city. What instructions do you give them on engaging with the community and also being safe on campus?
Well, we connect with many of our students through what we call the Bison Safe. If in fact there's an emergency alert that's needed, where we can actually need to connect with the students, all of the students have been encouraged to download the app. We stay in contact with them on that. But first and foremost, we advise them to be vigilant, be aware of their surroundings. Um, I'm not new to the third district. I was actually a sergeant at the third district
Oh,
some years ago, of course, and I'm very familiar with Howard University homecomings and its impact that it has, going all the way back to the Caribbean Festival, things of that nature. So yeah,
Right.
so I'm very familiar with it. But we encourage them first and foremost to be vigilant, be aware of their surroundings, travel in groups if we possibly can, and if in fact they're leaving class rather at a late hour or whatever the case, they can notify us. We'll execute what we call the Bison Walk, whereas we'll actually come and pick them up and give them a ride to their dorms or whatever their flex space may very well be. But again, we stay in contact, and if ever in doubt, reach out to DPS. I know there have been some concerns with regards to the ICE engagement piece. But again, even with that, we encourage all of the students, as well as the community at large, one, just be calm. We don't want to make the situation any more worse than it is. Hopefully these individuals who identify themselves as ICE agents will have identification, but we want them first and foremost to notify us, at which time we will respond to wherever they're located and engage with the ICE agents on their behalf if possible. But again, don't make the situation any worse. So abide by any directives in which they give you. And more than anything, if in fact further circumstances develop, then we'll go from that with ensuring that they understand with regards to next steps of legal counseling if necessary.
With Howard University having an international campus, I certainly understand exactly what you're saying in that respect. And we of course know that there is a lot of engagement because this is a college after all, and we have a nightlife district here in what right here in this ANC area. That's a very robust nightlife district. And what type of information and guidelines do you all share with your students in regards to how to engage with the nightlife area in this particular ANC?
Well, we want, if you're 21 years of age, of course, you can frequent any of the establishments of there, but we ask that you be 21 year ask that they be 21 years of age. But understand the risk as well with all of those. If you do, when you look at U Street in and of itself, of course, it's surrounded by some beautiful communities, of course. But at the same time, it has its risk that each of the students must be aware of. And having said that, we want to make sure that they do understand that if in fact they do go down and they're actually effectively leaving campus, they're not on campus, and we don't want them to feel that they are or think that they are, but they have to understand the associated risk involved just as well as with any other time if in fact you do choose to say go to the nightlife, or if you choose to go to Whole Foods for that matter. The bottom line, sometimes there are risks involved regardless of where you're going, and I don't just want to single out U Street,
Right.
but I will say that
Mhm.
when we engage with them, we just want them more than anything to make sure that they understand what they're doing, what they're doing, what they're possibly getting involved in, things of that nature. And again, if in fact something do occur, give us a call if possible, and we'll gladly respond, whether it's to U Street or whether it's to the third district or whatever the case may be. We work well with the third district, of course. The commander there. We have a good relationship. We have actually our relationship extends some years ago. So again, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I retired from MPD
Mhm.
after 30 plus years. I was
Right.
the sixth district commander
Hmm.
when I left. So yes,
Wow.
yes, that's man.
I had a quick follow-up question.
I
Oh,
remember. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I Go ahead, Francois. I'm
no, no,
finished.
no. I was curious, Chief Taylor, the extent to which do you see students becoming victims of crimes on Friday and Saturday nights when they're, walking to and from Howard's campus to U Street? I'm just curious because I know that I've heard from MPD that oftentimes it's during club let out, when like people can be picked on by assailants. People can be robbed, especially when you're sort of breaking off and you're going on the side streets and there's not as many people around. So I was just curious, yeah, is that something that's happening to students, or so far it seems like that's pretty uncommon?
well, well, knock on some wood. We haven't had it happen thus far, but I've
Okay.
been given some stories, which
Hmm.
pretty much causes us to give the warnings, give the information out for them to be aware when, in fact, in that particular quarter or participating in the nightlife, things of that nature. But yes, we haven't had any of those instances so far under my watch. But again, hopefully we don't. But at the same time, if we are, we're prepared to engage with them if, in fact, that does happen.
And are you I'm curious how you prepare for Friday and Saturday nights, or is your work not that much busier on Fridays and Saturdays since there's sort of a, consistent public safety presence throughout the week?
Well, we typically step up our presence with regards to our patrol officers, but we also have
Mhm.
a, a strong contingency of security officers as well
Mhm.
with regards to our resident halls. Typically, our security officers will man our resident halls, whereas we have officers that are assigned to each of the resident halls, but we try to want them to stick to patrolling. And we try to stay in the main corridors to include Georgia, to include U
Hmm.
Street, that corridor, Ninth Street corridor, things of that nature. We have a few flex spaces down at Oddfellows. So again, it's kind of one of them things where we do our best to stay in the main corridors of the
Hmm.
campus, but even extending beyond, whereas my office is located off of 10th Street. So again,
Hmm.
we do our best to, most of the officers here have been here for quite some time. So they know where many of the hot spots are where the visibility and presence is needed. So again,
Yeah.
with our strategy in place, it all works well with regards to giving that little guiding light that we hope will keep all of the kids safe. So again, fingers crossed though. I hope you didn't jinx it there.
No, I don't want to jinx it. I'm happy to hear that so far this is not a problem that has come up much for students.
I have a question in regards to students. You have students that stay on campus and off campus. The off campus housing that
Yes.
can extend even as far as over to 16th Street. Um, how do you all help the students in regards to their safety? I know that MPD does a great job, but a lot of students they come in from out of town and they don't really know a lot about MPD, but they are in tune with you all. But I just want to know, how do you help them if they're navigating off-campus living?
Well, we give them literature with regards to some of the community, whichever community in which they're going to. Of course, many of the officers, they're well read with regards to many of the flex spaces or off-campus housing, as you referenced. It's one of those things where we tend to each of the offices. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think each of my offices have locations in which they've adopted, or many of the resident halls, but also some of the off campus as well. Whereas they stay in contact with those flex spaces. And having said that, we engage with the building manager of that particular location. We pretty much make sure that the students have our contact information should they need anything. And if in fact we do get a call, we in turn to respond in kind with a level of urgency. At the same time, we want to make sure that they understand what's surrounding them as well. We tend to give them a full briefing on what's going on to the right, what's going on to the left. If in fact their orientations, if they're freshmen, that is, we typically conduct orientations at the beginning of the year, and many of them will let us know where they're staying or what have you. But they're always welcome to give us a call. And again, if they need us to respond, we're ready to respond at any given time. But we do our best to answer any questions that they may have. And as you know, Howard has continued to grow. So we try to grow with it as well with regards to our communication and our word and that's verbiage of being vigilant. And that's something that we work very hard to do.
And do they have a list of so they will have a list of numbers to call for you, for your officers, if they're in, if they will call you all first and then call MPD secondary. Is that the way it would typically work?
But it
If
depends
they're
on the circumstances. It depends on the situation. If there's something that requires immediate assistance, you dial 911. But at your earnest, yes, please give us a call without a doubt.
Okay, okay. I was just wondering what the protocol was. I know you all have the alert system and you try to make
Yes.
sure that the students stay really the situational awareness is always on point with the students. And I have not, like you said, and I pray that that is not the case, heard of any off-campus incidents outside of some of the stuff that has happened with people surrounding Howard University. However, we did have an incident last year where there was a altercation with one of the students on campus. Are you familiar with any of the past incidents? And have you been educating the students about not getting themselves involved in those type of incidents where people come on campus and cause harm based on what they're wearing, et cetera, or how do you all help them in regards to dealing with outside entities who come in on campus?
Well, are they visitors or, I mean,
Well, I don't know if you recall, there was an incident where there was people that came in from the neighborhood. I mean, not necessarily from the neighborhood. They intentionally came in on Howard's campus and caused some harm to a few of the students. And I was
Oh,
just wondering.
yeah. Well, what we're telling them now, and I'm sure this messaging was the same then, is that if in fact there's someone on campus that, quite frankly, is disturbing your presence or your peace or whatever the case, you give us a call. We will respond and identify who that individual is. If in fact they're not a student, we would then ask them to leave the campus. Uh, we're pretty very responsive with regards to that, as you very well know. We had some individuals. Uh, Brexit individuals who came on campus.
Right. I know that you, although you cut off, I'm quite familiar with that incident, and you all handled that very well. I think he might have gotten disconnected. His audio.
Yeah. Are you still there, Chief Taylor? Hmm.
Well, that was the end of my questions, Francois.
Um,
I
no,
don't
those,
have any
those were good
additional.
questions. I had a couple other quick questions I wanted to ask since we had the time, but if Chief Taylor, maybe he'll be able to rejoin. I think he might try to rejoin. Let's see here. Um, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I'm not
Okay, great.
sure what happened. Something with I don't know. I lost connectivity. Not sure why, but
Not a problem. Not a problem. Um,
I'm not sure what you heard last, but we do our best to keep the students, staff, and faculty armed with information on how to respond if, in fact, some unwanted individuals are on campus. And typically, it starts with the call to our dispatcher, at which time they will, in turn, if we're not already there, they'll in turn notify us to respond to whatever particular location. And we're usually pretty good about that. Pretty swift with regards to that.
Well, I'm highly connected with Howard's campus, so I'm quite familiar with a lot of things, students and faculty and otherwise, and so I really do commend you for keeping the students safe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you for our meeting that we're having on Thursday. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Chief.
I'm looking forward to it as well, man. Yes, ma'am.
Couple quick questions while we still have you, and thank you again for your time and for staying on longer. I promise we'll let you go soon. I was just curious, some more timely topics. I know that there was a shooting recently at homecoming. I was wondering, I know that a suspect was recently arrested as well. I was curious if you could speak to that, what the response looked like. Um, you know, yeah, I was just curious if you could speak to the incident and you know, help make
Well,
sure that we all know what happened and I guess do we know why it happened?
and again, that's it's still an investigation, even though an
Sure,
arrest has been made.
sure.
But again, I think you guys are very familiar with how the planning and preparation that they put into the homecomings.
Hmm.
Uh, what we saw that night was months of planning and preparation in our response.
Hmm.
I think it's extremely unfortunate that the situation happened, and it was totally unrelated to Howard University, and it
Yes,
wasn't
it
on
was. Yeah.
homecoming.
Yeah.
Wasn't on homecoming. It was the day before.
Oh,
And
really?
it's
Okay.
yeah, and it's and I'm very proud of the Metropolitan Police Department, and I'm extremely proud of my guys as well. Our response pretty much enabled that case to move forward so quickly. Uh,
Hmm.
and again, it was just beautiful. And I offer much thanks to MPD, of course. Several arrests were made that night, um, but unfortunately, some injuries were sustained. And again, my heart goes out to those that did sustain injuries. But again, all planning and preparation were met right there that night with that, and you were seen in our response, and that's MPD alike. So again, I thank MPD for their hard work in bringing it to closure. Um, I think when I had the opportunity to speak with MPD's leadership, they were very appreciative of our assistance as well. But again, it's yeah, it's very unfortunate that it actually occurred. When you talk about the motives, that's something that will all come out, of course, as the case is currently pending, going to be pending trial, of course, as it goes forward through the legal proceedings. But
Mhm.
again, that's yeah, it was unfortunate, but that was another act of senseless violence that didn't have to happen. Didn't have to happen at all. So again, we're gonna continue to stay vigilant, especially with our homecoming. And again, those are that's the beauty and the beast of an open campus. But
Mhm.
we're going to stay vigilant and continue to target harden the campus so that, quite frankly, activities such as that is is unwelcome. Is that folks understand that won't be tolerated. So again, that's all I have with regards to that. Because again, the case is under investigation.
You know what, Chief, I like the fact that you put the guard post up there for the guards to have a
Yes,
station. That is,
yes.
I like how you're really fortifying the campus. That, you know, I'm a native Washingtonian. I basically grew up on Howard's campus,
Oh
and
yeah,
so
I was
so
born around. I was born on Third Street, 1900 Third Street.
look, Freedman Hospital and
Yes,
everything.
indeed,
Okay,
absolutely,
let's talk the talk. Okay, but
absolutely.
the we with knowing that that this is a I just like the way that the improvements that I'm seeing with the security, knowing that like with the open campus, it's just such a beautiful campus, all the improvements that Howard is going through, the benefits that they're receiving, and to see the security step up in that way that is really protecting the students. I'm truly appreciative of what you're doing, and to just to take care of the students. It's to me it's really really important. I'm looking forward to seeing you all be a well I'm trying to save my questions a little bit for Thursday. I don't want to over inundate you with questions, and this is the ANC's public safety meeting. But I do want to know, from the ANC's point of view, what is it that you want from the community? What do you think is the community that we can do to be a benefit to the university, even more so than what you've discussed so far? What can community members do to play a viable role and be a beautiful supporter of Howard University's security and public safety? That's my question.
Well, well, that's actually a great question, very deep. I would have loved to have written some points on that. But what I will say is that, when you're at any ANC meeting, of course, whether it's any community meeting, I would say, it's an opportunity to advocate on behalf of your community. And again, as stakeholders, we're in your community. And it's one of those things whereas we want you to keep us on point, we're very responsive. We're very accessible, and it's one of those things. Whereas we want a safe and beautiful community, just like many of the residents do, students as well. So again, we want to continue to be an asset. And when you say what will we ask from the residents, let us know how we're doing. Keep us on point. Again, I'm going to be visible. Many of my deputy chiefs are going to be visible, and it's one of those things where this is just the first of many of the meetings that we want to be a part of. And again, it's a report card. You let us know how we're doing, and if it's something that we need to improve upon, then we definitely will step up. Without a doubt, we're very responsive, accessible, and committed to task. So again, no, you all great us. Keep us on point. And I'll even get my AVP out here on a couple of these meetings as well. So again, no, you let us know because public safety is everybody's responsibility, not just ours,
That's
but
right.
the folks who live across the street, uh, folks who live down the street, and so on and so on. So again, no, you keep us on point, and I assure you we'll be responsive, accessible, and committed to task.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you on some of my public safety walks. So, and also in within the
Absolutely.
community too. So, thank you so much. And and Francois, that was my real last question. But I'm
All good,
looking
all good,
I'm
all good
looking
question.
forward
That
to
was a
hearing
great
from
question.
Captain Murphy now, because he awesomely has been patient, waiting for us.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again, Chief Taylor, for taking time out of your Tuesday evening to chat with us. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the 3D CAC meeting. And yeah, if there's ever, like you said, we'll let you know if there's anything, any if we get any feedback to forward along to you. But please do let the ANC know if you ever need anything, or if you'd like us to advocate for something in the area, because that is our role, is to help advocate and advise. So if there is an issue,
Absolutely.
feel free to always reach out. And thank you again for being proactive about reaching out to us so that you could join our meeting and introduce yourself.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to engaging with you all next
Yeah,
Thursday and beyond.
that was really great. I appreciate the engagement too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Have a,
Alrighty. Take care. Mhm.
All right, Captain Murphy, if you're on.
are you still there, Captain?
Or do we have someone else tonight?
Captain Murphy, are you still online? He may have been pulled away.
Not sure. Um, well, since we don't have too many other committee, oh, looks like he just came off mute.
Hey, no, it's Captain Porter. Oh,
Oh,
Murphy's
Captain
talking.
Porter.
Oh, that's my because you said Murphy talking, so I figured Murphy was on too with me. So I was like, what the heck? But I guess because I used his link, so it says that Murphy's talking.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's me, Captain Porter, here for Captain Murphy. Um, now that we've gotten that figured out. Um, yeah, so
Change his name, please, Francois.
Sure.
um, Captain Murphy asked me to join this meeting because he is not here. Neither is Lieutenant Hiller. So probably the biggest thing to come out of 1B recently, following homecoming, is probably all this juvenile curfew stuff. The first time we had it, we had a decent number of curfew violators. This past weekend, I think we had like 2 the first night and 3 the second night. So we had a significantly less curfew violators in the U Street corridor than we did a few weeks ago. And at least in the third district, I don't even think anywhere in the city we really had an issue with juveniles this past weekend. So I think that curfew definitely helped at least send a message saying, hey, let's not gather in large groups and be disorderly and create chaos. The 18 and younger 11 p.m. curfew is still in effect though. So that's still
Mhm.
ongoing. It's just the specific little curfew zones that started earlier than 11.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
just this weekend, and no word yet whether we're going to re-up that again. My guess is it's usually in a reaction to a social media post that talks about a takeover somewhere. So if we don't see any social media posts about takeovers, I'm not sure. Who knows if they're going to re-up it? But I mean, if there is more social media traction on takeovers, then yeah, my guess is they'll re-up it again. But if there is nothing, then I guess we kind of
Mhm.
wait and see till the weekend.
I know there was a lot of social media activity around Halloween, and I'm curious. I believe at that time the youth curfew powers had lapsed. I just wanted to understand, is that
Yeah,
correct, or
Halloween is when it started, I think.
okay?
The
Maybe
set
it
the
was the
day after
weekend before
Halloween.
Halloween when there was also, I think it was the weekend of the 24th, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. I
Um,
don't, I think the gatherings ended up, at least in the U Street area,
yeah, the U
being
Street ones
huge from what
weren't.
I could see, but it was
Yeah,
definitely a big
the
thing.
the Navy Yard area had it worse,
Navy
definitely.
Yard had a lot of people. I know there was that video of the
Yeah,
National
yeah,
Guard.
we have fortunately up here in the U Street area and in your ANC, we haven't had any videos like that or any groups that large. I mean, we had about a month or two ago, we probably had a group of like 20 or whatever,
Mhm.
that ended up committing, we charged them with robbery of an establishment on 1900 block of 9th Street.
Mhm.
And we caught 2 of them like an hour later coming back to the area, and we arrested the juveniles. But that was over a month ago at this point. But yeah, they definitely had it worse in Navy Yard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious, was the Navy was the National Guard just there and you all reached out for help, or were that, like, what happened?
For the Navy Yard,
Yeah.
um, I'm not sure. My guess is sort of like the National Guard walks around U Street during the day and sometimes at night.
Hmm.
I'm sure the National Guard is walking around the Navy Yard and the wharf during the day and night, just like they are up here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, NPD doesn't really give them direction on where to go. They
Hmm.
take the direction from the White House. So
Yes.
they have asked us in the past, like, hey, what are your, high areas? That'd be nice to have some more visibility. But their specific assignments are given to them, not by us. But my assumption is they were already there,
Yeah.
um, just like, they're already on U Street or walking up and down over here.
Got it. And really quick, could you just tell us what happens when there is a documented curfew violator? What does that interaction look like?
Yeah, so if we got a documented curfew violator, we'll identify them and then we'll try to get where they live, their parents' information. Our first step is to transport them home. If for whatever reason there's no adult to take them at home or they don't know their address, then we'll take them to a youth center, um, the Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services until they can get picked up by an adult or their parent. It doesn't record as an arrest. It doesn't record as any, discipline per se, other than
Hmm.
us documenting that we contacted them, they were in violation of curfew, and we either brought them home or to the youth center, where they need to get picked up by a guardian at some
Okay.
point. Yeah.
And those, I mean, I know that the curfew is generally focused on people in large groups, so I'm curious, how does that work with only, a couple people being
So the no
documented?
the
Hmm.
yeah, so the special curfew zones, the ones that were
Hmm.
established on U Street, Navy Yard, Union
Yeah.
Station, and then
Yeah.
Banneker the first time,
Yeah.
those were a single person. So
Okay.
any single person in violation, um, can be taken as curfew. The 11 p.m., 18 and under, I believe that's like a crowd of 20 or more, and we have to give them warnings. So
Hmm.
similar to us giving protesters who are blocking the street a warning to stop block the street, we have to give them a warning. Hey, you're in violation of the curfew law. Please disperse and go home. If not, you could be taken as curfew. And we've given one, possibly two warnings, and then we can try to take as many as we can for curfew. But then, as far as I believe, the normal curfew starts at midnight for like the 16 and younger for like during the school year and then on the weekend, like the regular curfew time. But the extended hours, 18 and under, starting at 11 p.m., there's a whole process that we have to go through now. Like I said, giving them warnings, they should be in large groups
Hmm.
before we take any action.
Got it. And I guess oh, sorry, Karen, please feel free
No,
to.
no, no. You have another question. Go ahead.
Oh,
I'll ask my questions after you.
I was just curious, I is that is the young person taken into custody when they're a curfew violator, or are they just, because I assume, you know,
So they
they
are
don't really have a choice in terms of,
no, so
have
they
to go home
are.
or go
I
to
mean, you could say temporarily taken into custody until we can find a guardian.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously not the same, but like similar. If every so often some citizen
Hmm.
finds a 5-year-old wandering around the street and they call 911, and then we take custody of the 5-year-old until we can find his parents. That's a little more
Yeah.
extreme
Yeah.
example, but these are, obviously young adults, so they're more coherent.
Sure.
But essentially, yeah, I mean, we if they're cooperating, we put them in a curfew van, so it's just like a 12-passenger van. It's not like a
Hmm.
typical police transport vehicle.
Sure.
They just kind of sit in the back of the van. But if for some reason they're being aggressive or feisty or whatever, we
Hmm.
do have the ability to handcuff them and put them in an actual police transport vehicle. But that's not our first option. Our first option is to just put them in the back of the van and drive them until we can find their parent or we drop them off at the youth center.
Got it. I mean, last quick thing, and thanks for answering all these questions, because it's good to hear from somebody on the ground, how this process works. Um, it seems like one of the main benefits of the youth curfew would be as a tool to try to get crowds to disperse before they get too large. It gets later in the night, more people show up. Is that a correct understanding? And are you all trying to warn youth who are in these targeted areas like U Street before 8 p.m. that the curfew hour is coming up, and we're gonna have to transport you home if you guys are still out here. You should really go home now.
Yeah, so
Go to another area of the city that's not in this curfew zone right now.
yeah, so we the first thing we do is we post signs, those curfew signs.
Yes, I have seen those.
Or
Yeah, yeah.
the other thing is, and the first district actually did this really well last weekend or 2 weekends ago. They actually had officers posted at the metro station. As soon as they see a large crowd of juveniles, the officers like, hey guys, if you come out this metro, you're violating curfew. I recommend you go back in and go home or go
Mhm.
somewhere else. And 95% of them turned around and went back into the metro.
Okay, that's good to
Yeah,
hear.
we definitely try to warn them, tell them that there's a curfew in effect for this area. Our best option is to turn back around, get back on the metro, and go home or somewhere else that's not on
Sure.
the curfew
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Ca-
Yeah, Karen.
Captain, and I know I'm going to really hold a lot of these questions for you for Thursday, but I do want to sort of ask a question that has been permeating in the community. We do have a considerable amount of young people in the area that may be on their way home, and the demographics vary, but we have a lot of black and brown children who are young people who are heading home, and they've been concerned about being targeted. Is there and I know I've had this discussion with the chief, but I'm asking you just so you can sort of give education to the community on what it looks like to be taken in custody. How do you identify the people who needs to be ask questions about their age, etc. What's the process? And I'm asking for very specific details so that people know, okay, what sort of red flags or what would make them stick out if it's not if it's not specifically the color of their skin.
It's just the officer's perception that they're under the curfew age. That's really the only way. And that's when the officer starts dialogue with them. Hey, how old are you? Um, and it just goes from there. I mean, it's solely based on what age the person looks.
Okay, so
Because how else are you supposed to? I mean, there's no other way to identify people other than how old they look. No one's wearing a sign that says I'm 13 years old,
right.
18 years old. Um, but those people who are coming home that live, let's say they live on U Street somewhere, the officer asks, hey, 13, how old are you? Oh, I'm 13. Where do you live? I live right here, oh, can you just show me real quick? And then they'll show them, they should let them go home and not take them for curfew. But yeah, I mean, it's based on how old the officers think the folks are.
Okay. And when you were talking about the single versus grouping, does stand being in a group really sort of alert the officers, or if you see, I mean, because I know a lot of the young people, they tend to run errands for the home, and this is just a question that has come up. They run errands for the home. The parents work at late, and they're the responsible person in the home, and they said that they felt uncomfortable. So, what can we tell them to get them out from under the radar of the police during this time?
The well, as of right now, there is no it's back to 11 p.m. So
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, as long as they do whatever errands before 11 p.m., it shouldn't be an issue. And also, yes, you are correct. The groups cause a lot more consternation and worry from us than the individual people going to Safeway to pick up some food.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, when kids are in groups, they tend to act a certain way than when they're by themselves. I
Correct.
guarantee if you go into that Navy Yard that one night when there were thousands of kids, not thousands, but a lot of kids running around, if you talk to any individual kid separate from all of his friends, I'm sure they'd be reasonable and talk to you and tell them where you live. But, they're trying to show off in front of their friends. they're in a group, so it gets them more emboldened. So yeah, the groups definitely are more of an issue than the individual ones just trying to, run errands for their family.
And this is the question that I had, and I'm actually approaching dealing with our school officials in regards to this, as to what type of education are they telling the students who are in that age range on how to engage in activities, civil activities, going back and forth to school, going to events, and even if they're trying to have fun, engaging in fun activities, what is it that they can do to, not be in violation? And you said the custody process is it doesn't entail handcuffing, um unless they're being unruly, right? So I'm just I'm assuming that you I'm praying that you can gather where I'm trying to go with this questioning. I really want to make sure that we can give a picture of how to educate you to be engaged when they happen to be at it's 11:01 and they're on their way, or they're in a group of three or more, and how should they behave? Give us some tips on what we should tell young people.
I mean, they should just cooperate with the officers. I mean, the officers aren't robots, they're humans too. So if you talk to them, explain the situation, and you and your two siblings have just gone to the Safeway to pick up some dinner for your family, you know, the officer should be reasonable and be like, oh, you live 2 blocks away. All right, let me just make sure you get home and then let them walk home. I mean, it's just a matter of stopping, cooperating with the officers, asking their questions. And most officers are reasonable enough that they'll work with you. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, especially, I mean, if they're shopping or going for their family, I'm assuming most of them are probably in the same area in which they live. No one's, if you live near a Safeway in or the Whole Foods or whatever in 1B, you're not taking the Metro to Navy Yard to go to that Safeway
Right.
or Whole Foods. So I mean, they gotta, and also if you see on social media someone's advertising for a takeover at the Navy Yard at 8 p.m. on Friday, don't go to the Navy Yard at 8 p.m. on Friday.
Hello. Right. That's
Um,
correct.
Yeah.
So, it seems like fairly obvious, but obviously they're still young folks and, they're very impressionable and they live on social media. So it's important to, let them know just, hey, just stop, cooperate with the officers. The large group of kids that we stopped at the McDonald's about a month ago and the first curfew zone was in effect. The ones that were cooperative with us and told us where they live, told us that where their parents are, it was so much easier. They just piled into the van and we drove them home. The ones
Right.
that were cursing, yelling, you know, being just generally disrespectful for no reason other than, they were trying to impress their friends or whatever, they were there a lot longer. They may have been in a transport police car versus the regular, 12, 15 person passenger van. So, the more you cooperate and, just explain your situation, the easier it's going to be.
Okay.
To
Well, the social media information, I mean, I definitely had said that well, actually I put post this way in which to engage with young people so that they can have the organizations that they work with to let them know that, hey, these curfews are in effect. This is the way in which you should engage the community. But I think that having more outreach from the school systems and in their social circles, to let them know exactly what's going on so that they're not as reactive, even though they still feel they feel traumatized, but at least that they won't be as reactive. But I just want to know, has there been any parental interactions with the students, the kids who have to constantly be taken home to particular location? What type of outreach has MPD been doing in those particular um, residential areas where you say, for instance, you have 5 kids who consistently are being picked up and taken to these locations, is there any tracking and outreach and wraparound services that MPD is offering for those particular individuals and areas?
I mean, before each special curfew zone goes out, there are press releases that go out notifying the public of it. But then also, once we pick them up for curfew and drop them at their parents' house or the other, I mean, the back end outreach is not really on us to complete. I mean, we're here to help enforce the law, help keep the peace in these areas where large people gather. And we do talk to the parents when we drop the kids off too, letting them know why they were picked up, where they were picked up, and try to educate them that way. But the more, and like I said, we put press releases out. I'm not aware of further outreach that goes to the parents. Um, but perhaps,
The youth services branch probably needs to get a little bit more involved in regards to, especially if you have consistent individuals who are always a part of the pickups and drop offs. I think that there needs to be a little bit more engagement in regards to an alert process to make sure that the parents are aware that this is a consistent issue. Even if you don't have to, even if they're not rowdy um, individuals, we still need to make sure that there is a better process. I know MPD is, that's you talking about the front end, but I am concerned about the back end because those are the long term effects from the curfew that I'm looking at. So, but I appreciate you, Captain Porter, as always.
Yeah, thank you
yep,
very
no
much.
problem.
To close out the conversation, I did just want to say I do think this is one of the reasons why community policing is important in terms of knowing the community, knowing who lives where, getting familiar with your beat and your police service area. That way,
Exactly.
hopefully, officers get to know, who are the kids that live in the area, who are the kids that I've never seen before, and I might want to follow up with them to make sure that they do live in the area, or if they're coming here, to party or something. I think that's just helpful to have that context.
But Francois, you notice that we have a lot of kids who come in, young people who come into the area from Maryland and
Sure.
Virginia,
Yes.
and they're not necessarily native Washingtonians or Washingtonians, period. And they come to, I guess they assume that it's extremely exciting until they run into the police or the curfew zones
Hmm.
or whatever. So they may not necessarily always get that educational materials, but then sometimes they do want to, as the captain mentioned, they just want to have fun and show off and show how they can engage with the police. Sometimes they just do it
Yeah.
intentionally to antagonize, but that
Yeah.
puts a bad light on the young people who are not interested in doing it, who are actually
Mhm.
from DC. You
I hear
know,
you. I hear you. Well,
you
that's why,
know.
I mean, I was just saying, I think that's why it would be helpful to help assuage the community concerns, to know that MPD is developing relationships with folks in the area and getting to know who are the kids that live here.
Right. This is look. If you already know, the community policing is my biggest drum that I beat,
I hear you.
as you know, and so I'm always interested in seeing this type of service that's being offered by MPD. I know that our youth engagement MPD has their youth services branch, and I apologize. For some reason, someone wanted to call me during this time. Uh, MPD has the youth services branch,
Hmm.
but I want to see some of the tracking, the data tracking from these pickups when it's consistent. I mean, I
Hmm.
know that there's a log. Captain Porter, there's a log that you all keep for the young people who you have to take to locations. Am I correct? Every person
But
gets cataloged.
we do a stop report.
Okay.
Hmm.
Similar to
Right.
if we suspect someone of breaking the law, we stop them, ID them. We do not make an arrest. We just do a stop report. Same thing with the curfew violators.
And the stop report consists of the basic demographic information.
Yeah, who we stopped and why we stopped them, basically, and where we dropped them off or who we handed them off to.
Okay. And that stop report, I guess what I'm interested in, and this is what I guess I'll do more of a deeper dive, you know, on the data, and if we get if the location of the drop-offs and pickups are consistently the same, what can we do in regards to outreach into those areas? But then, of course, you guys don't have transport to Maryland and Virginia. I know, right? That is
Correct.
not
The one,
happening.
yep, the ones that don't live in DC, they're automatically transported to the youth center.
Right, right, right. Okay,
Well, I promised I would have us end at 8, so I
I'm
think
done. I'm done there. I'm done.
no, no. I'm looking forward to the 3D CAC meeting and hearing more
Oh
about it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Captain Porter is always on. He's exceptional, and so we're looking forward to seeing you on Thursday as well. I'm Captain Porter. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining tonight. Hopefully we'll have more committee members on next time. So no meeting time change, I don't think. No holidays. So yeah, I will talk to you all soon. Thank you again for joining, and thank you, Karen, for all the good questions and for making it tonight.
And I'll see you on Thursday via Zoom because we're not doing it in
Mhm.
person.
Okay.
Thursday, November the 20th via Zoom at 7 p.m. Please go to www.3dcac.org to register. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.